In your opinion, who is the better leader, Michael Jordan or LeBron?
You know, Jenny, this is something that's very hard to quantify because normally what people say is that anytime you win, you're the best. Whoever the top dog is, they're the better leader than the top dog of the team that lost. But Michael Jordan said something very interesting at the end of segment 7. He says, if you have a problem with my leadership style, it's probably because you never won anything. But I have something here, Skip, you can't see it. It's about 22 inches tall, and it weighs about 7 pounds. And they normally hand these out to the winning team at the end of the season. Only the last team standing. Now, I have 3 of those. I also have something else. You can't see that, but the people at home, they can see it. So in other words, I feel like I'm very qualified to chime in on this because I have won something. And so for me, LeBron James style would work better for me than Michael Jordan style.
Shannon Sharpe is sniffing glue. We're going to talk about leadership styles and what leadership means and why Shannon Sharpe is off his rocker. Shannon Sharpe basically says that he would prefer LeBron James' leadership style compared to Michael Jordan's leadership style. So here's the difference is he's saying Michael Jordan, because he punched Steve Kerr in the face and Scott Burrell, he got very demanding and intense with him, that he wouldn't think that his style is more effective than LeBron James, which LeBron James is a little bit more chill and as an aggressive. Well, if you look at Shannon Sharpe, when he played the game, he played with John Elway, had a little more chill lifestyle. Obviously, it's a different game when it comes to basketball versus football. They play different positions. Shannon Sharpe couldn't play quarterback, and obviously John Elway could not play Shannon Sharpe's position. When it comes into leadership styles, obviously you have authoritarian. You can have something, because Michael Jordan was so great at his craft that he literally was the best person. He worked harder than everybody else. He demanded greatness from himself, so that transcended to others. What Shannon Sharpe isn't really taking into account is Shannon Sharpe was the emotional leader, arguably, on the Broncos. He was more intense. He was more like Michael Jordan than he was like LeBron. If anyway, Elway might have been more like LeBron style. But because the sport of basketball is a little different, and it's a closer knit group, and arguably it's not as position orientated as football, what he's not taking into account is because of his intensity, Jordan wouldn't have to get on him so much. So Jordan already knew the people he could count on. Obviously, you know, he probably got on Pippen in the early days, and Pippen stepped his game up. Rodman, Horace Grant, you don't hear stories about Jordan really demanding, but Jordan was the most sensational person in the game at that time. So all of his peers looked up to him. They looked at him like a godlike figure. If you hear interviews, so Shannon Sharpe would be no different. He would look at Jordan and be like, "Oh my God, he's the greatest player. I want to be like him. I want to listen to him because that's greatness." When we're surrounded by that much greatness, we're gonna follow their lead because it's like obviously they're doing something right. We want to listen to them and we want to win. Shannon Sharpe wants to win. He's got Super Bowls, very established his podcast. He's very success driven. So he would want to win at all costs. And this is where I think he would be better fit with Jordan's leadership style versus a LeBron. LeBron might be a little more passive aggressive, more low key, might not be as in your face, where Shannon Sharpe came from an era more related with Jordan in that intensity and playing with that type of intensity and being in your face, so forth. You could argue younger generations like a LeBron or even younger than that aren't as intense with their leadership styles, where there's a level of respect that you would give Jordan, no different than you would give it to LeBron or Kobe Bryant, all that stuff. Kobe and Jordan would probably have more of a close leadership styles. You might consider them like an a-hole to play with and demanding, and you're not going to be their best friend, but you're going to win probably more ball games. I guarantee Shannon Sharpe would rather win more ball games to be his best friends. I don't ever hear him talk about how he's best friends with John Elway. I don't see him, do anything with John Elway or any of those things, even though they were teammates. They won 2 Super Bowls together. And so, like Shannon Sharpe, you got to get off your rocker and stop just pushing the LeBron narrative and really think about what leadership style would have been most effective for you. And when you're surrounded by greatness, right, you can deliver a lot of different leadership styles, but in an athletic arena, what worked really well for Jordan is that fact that he was the best there was around. So ultimately, he's going to demand everybody's respect. So if you're a leader in your organization and you're wanting to demand greatness, if you're not already the best in what you do and you're so exceptional or people worship you and will follow you in your vision, then you need to work on different leadership styles and add different behaviors where you're not just demanding greatness and being authoritative and bossy and around all that stuff. You need to adopt different leadership styles. So obviously in a workplace and or a household with your kids, you can't act like that because it's not going to work well for you. But in a situation where you're in sports and you're trying to win championships, that obviously worked well because you can see there was the Bulls got one three-peat, and then Jordan retired for a little bit and they came back and got another three-peat with 6 total championships. They may have been able to win more if the organization didn't break up or whatnot, but still remarkable feat. And Jordan was the reason why for a lot of their success, obviously not taking away from the players like Pippen and Grant and Rodman and all those things, as well as you had Phil Jackson, who was more of the Zen master, who the visionary, created the plan each season for people to follow and instrumented the relationships amongst the players to make sure, like there's a story with Steve Kerr and I can't remember who else, I think Luke Longley, where they're out partying with Rodman because they knew they needed to bring him back in the mix. And so Phil was the Zen master of the leadership, and Jordan was the emotional leader, the intensity that, really drove the ship on the court, not so probably much off the court. But he demanded greatness, but he was the one showing up before everybody, working harder than everybody, just like Kobe and so forth. So when you are in that arena, you want that type of individual behind your back. And I guarantee Shannon Sharpe, if you were put in that situation, you would follow Jordan more so than you would follow LeBron. I think you would actually butt heads more with LeBron because you're an emotional leader, and LeBron is the, greatest player on the court during this era, or if you played with him. Who knows, Shannon Sharpe, not saying that you couldn't hoop and that you wouldn't be the best hooper of the group, but, if you're just using yourself as saying that you're going to be a role player and LeBron's going to lead you versus Jordan's going to lead you versus Kobe's going to lead you and so forth, I guarantee push came to shove, you would probably accept Jordan's leadership in that style than you would LeBron. It's easy to throw stones looking from a distance, but if you really understand that leadership style and how you would embrace it, people would understand nobody's going to mess with Shannon Sharpe. Dude's a beast, right? I'm not picking on Shannon Sharpe because I think I can take him by any means, but he's got to understand his style and what would work best because he is driven by success, right? And it shows when he played football versus now with podcasting and then being on multiple shows and being how driven he is with his physique and all those things. So Shannon Sharpe, I think you should rethink who you would pick as a leader and who you would follow most because of how you are or who you are. But who knows? Obviously, I'm not here to tell you what you would do or not, but I think in hindsight, looking at leadership styles and winning in the arena of basketball, you would pick Jordan if you were stuck in that situation. But obviously, you're going to choose who you want to choose. I'm just talking leadership. All right, take care. Wish you guys all the best.